It is the Anfield Wrap in association with RedsBet. They are our partners for 2019. We're delighted they are our lead partners here on the Anfield Wrap. 50% of their profits, your losses, go to fan-related media, fan-related causes. That is what RedsBet are trying to do in association with their partners, FansBet, as well. So do give them some consideration if you're interested in that sort of thing, but as ever, be responsible in your decision-making. I have got Adam Melia, I've got Paul Senior, I've got Mel Reddy, I've got Gareth Roberts. I would say that. Paul Senior, would you say these are big hitters?
The biggest of hitters.
Do you think the biggest of hitters?
I'm not put myself in that bracket quite, but yeah, I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness.
There we are. So we will have. I'm just going to take everyone's temperature before we get stuck into this. This is after Liverpool have been defeated on the South Coast by 4-1 by Manchester City. Adam Melia, how are you doing?
Gloomy.
Are you gloomy?
Gloomy.
Are you going to represent the gloomy constituency for our show here?
Probably. I wasn't expecting to be gloomy either because I didn't particularly go into yesterday with any expectations of really winning the league, and City going one down didn't really make me think it's on, particularly because it was too early. So I think the onset of gloom, I don't know really. I think it's a kind of an onset of realistic gloom. I don't know about the future. I'm not quite sure yet, but that's my temperature anyway.
That's where you are at the minute. Gareth, how is your temperature at this stage?
Look, I'm looking forward to Madrid. I'm really looking forward to Madrid. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to put a big piece of silverware at the end of what's been a great season. And look, I've been banging the drum all the way along for what an achievement this season has been from Liverpool, but to not get something at the end of it is a horrendous thought that keeps kicking around my head now, because obviously the league didn't go our way. We didn't get the final twist that we were all praying for and all the rest of it, and it just all felt a little bit, yesterday anyway, it felt a little bit like, for fuck's sake, do you know what I mean? Like, this just feels so unfair that, you know, they've done so well, they've hardly put a foot wrong all season, they broke all kinds of records, they're the best runners up in history in the top 5 leagues in Europe. None of that really is that good though, is it? Do you know what I mean? Without the actual trophy.
Rather be the shittest champions than the best runners up. Yeah. Can I be the shittest champions, please?
Exactly. You know, Leicester won it with what, 77? They're the shittest champions then. But, you know, I'd rather be that, because just, you know, we've been waiting for this fucking league for so long, and for it not to happen again and for us to come so close is hard to deal with. But I think the fact that I think this, you know, the big number 6 gleaming away in Madrid, you know, that sort of keeps me going.
I'll come back to you before I bring Paul and Mel in. With Madrid, I was thinking about this today, and now everything just sort of becomes Madrid. And it sort of hit me that these lads are brilliant footballers who've done brilliantly, have been playing under unbelievable pressure. I would argue since maybe Palace away, which is crazy, but it might be since Palace away. Like, everything's felt like they're running. Palace away, Leicester away, I remember being a horrendous last 10. And they've been under this unbelievable amount of pressure, and they've had to go and win and win and win. And the thing that occurred to me this morning was, and now they're under some real pressure, because they go into the Madrid final as favourites, rightly favourites. There's a points difference that is bigger than my house between Liverpool and Tottenham, and that is real pressure for this football team to have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. But I actually think they'll be fine with it, because there's a real pressure under Tottenham as well, because you're in a final. And I kind of feel like, you know, they're not used to it, and they haven't had that experience that this group of lads have had. You know, they've been to a final and lost, and they know how much that hurts, and I think that pushes them on. I think what you've seen from them all season, and I'm trying to write something on it again now upstairs, but it's just the mental strength is amazing from them, and I thought it was again in the game yesterday, because
we did our best to put them off. I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Some blurts in the main stand celebrating a goal that didn't happen definitely didn't help anyone, and you could see it transmit to the pitch. I thought in that all of a sudden, you know, they didn't defend that well, the passes were going astray and all that, and they had some nervy moments. But then I think they sort of remembered what they were all about again and went on to win the game. And you know, Wolves were no mugs there. And that's what they've done so many times. And that's why, you know, we've got to have all the hope in the world that we go on to win the European Cup and also go on to challenge again next season for all the big prizes, because they've won in so many ways this season. It hasn't just been like, you know, the heavy metal football and the blowing people away with our attack and play. It's the resilience of the team that's been the most impressive thing for me.
Mel, how are you feeling about the Enterprise?
Scorchingly defiant, I would say. I thought it was really interesting yesterday, post-match, that Jurgen Klopp picked up on the fact that the Anfield crowd weren't despondent. They weren't on the floor. It didn't feel like it was finished. They weren't feeling sorry for themselves. They were like, hang on, This is an absolutely brilliant football team, and this is only the beginning. We're only scratching the surface of what this team can do. Obviously, there is disappointment. I wouldn't say disappointment for myself or supporters per se, but I just feel like the gigantic effort they put in the season, what we've spoken about, the amount of pressure they've been under, the fact that they just needed to perform and perform and perform. There was no let off from that. And for them to only miss out on the title by a point is, quite devastating. But the fact that they've got Madrid to look forward to, and I think everything that's transpired up till now helps them a great deal in that final, because there is a sense of, actually, no, we've done too much. We've come too far to finish an extraordinary campaign empty-handed. And the signs for the future are so good. Everything I'm thinking about is what happens next. And when Liverpool have come close before, there was that sense of trepidation, because you thought, this is all going to explode now, like it's going to go to bits. Whereas you look at this team and you look at what they've done to get this far, and I did an article on it that you can go and find on my Twitter about all the details they paid attention to make a difference. And
just read that, it was good.
Thanks. You think of this...
Gareth, I'm sure yours is going to be ace as well when you finish it, mate.
It's not going well, to be honest.
You think of this Liverpool side and, what they've managed to... And Pep Guardiola said City don't do what they do without this Liverpool team pushing them all the way. But it's also a Liverpool team that had to bed in Fabinho, bed in Naby Keita, had Naby Keita missing for substantial parts of the season through injury, didn't have Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. So you think about already next season, there's no settling in period for Keita, Fabinho, there's a fit Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and already from the base Liverpool have now, you can see areas to improve. And that's without them, doing anything different, which we know Liverpool and Michael Edwards and Jurgen Klopp, they plan. They're meticulous. So you will expect them, to expand on this platform. So I just think there's so many things to be positive about.
I just, Damien on the post-match pint last night mentioned a season under Shankly where Liverpool lose the league on the last day by 1 point. And I was looking that up before because I was just interested in reading, what the reaction was to it and things like that. And there was some quotes from Emlyn Hughes which were interesting, where he basically said, we come off the pitch and obviously we're absolutely gutted that we haven't won the league and that we've lost it by that fine margin. And he said, but honestly, it didn't take long for us to be positive again, because we were looking around in the dressing room and saying we're a really good side. We know we're pointing in the right direction. We know we're going to win something with this side and this manager. And so they were all right with it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what we'll have with this group. As everyone keeps saying, and rightly so, it's not been like red zone stuff where it's like boom or bust. It's been steady progress towards this place. And as you said before, Neil, we're 25 points ahead of third place there. And so, to Liverpool have done a swing of that, from last season to this, if you like, but to suggest that everyone else is going to suddenly be able to do that as well, I don't see it. I think the only thing that's slightly depressing about the whole situation is Man City and the fact that they're not going to go away and that they're machine-like as well, and that they've got a great manager and a great squad and they're going to improve again, and all those things we're saying about Liverpool, you can equally say about them. But nevertheless, I'd rather be going toe-to-toe with them at the top of the league every season than being down in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever.
That season that you referenced there, that Damien referenced, was 71-72, which is worth looking up, not least because 3 days after that last game, when they were all looking at each other in the dressing room, they went and played a friendly in Benidorm and won 3-0. Something possibly for the Reds to think about in the run-up to the Champions League final. And if they want us to get an 11 together to play them in Benidorm, I'm sure that can be arranged.
Paul, she'll sort that.
Yeah, Paul Senior, how are you feeling about things?
Yeah, I'm all right, I think maybe post-match yesterday, I was looking around and everyone seemed quite all right, and I was maybe the worst out the bunch. But I've been going through that, it's like that post-breakup thing where there's so many stages, and by the sort of end of last night and seeing everyone else's attitudes towards it all. It sort of got me back.
You don't need her, Paul. You don't need her. You're better off without her. You're going to be great, son.
Yeah. And now I'm throwing a divorce party. Do you know what I mean? I've got to that point now where I woke up this morning, a bit of a smile on my face, obviously proud of what Liverpool have achieved, even though it hasn't resulted in the Premier League trophy. And we were talking before the match yesterday. Imagine if this was almost this weirdness we've all got about winning the league. What's it going to be like in the world where that's taken away from us? Do you know what I mean? And I suppose my motivation is next season is I want it taken away from me again next season. We can all be weird again about wanting to win the league so much.
I am tired, mate. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I know. We could all I actually thought if we win it, I might take it easy next year. But now I'm not going to be taking it easy. It's hard to take, I suppose, when you look at what Liverpool have achieved. But I think you've also got to go for Man City to go from 100 points and go again and get 98 and actually be in a proper title race and have that amount of pressure and deal with it. You've got to tip your hat to them, no matter what you think about their actions. The footballers have achieved that, and fair play to them. But for us, as I say, we've got this weirdness about winning the Premier League title, but the biggest prize in world football is on offer. The biggest. It's much bigger than winning the Premier League, no matter. If you talk about Paris Saint-Germain, them lads are all there because they exist to win the Champions League. The Thiago Silva, Neymar, they're there to win that competition because that is what they want. And just because we want the league so much, and it's quite a personal thing to our fan base, doesn't necessarily mean it's what the world stars want. And having 2 Champions League finals in 2 years, such a great advert for Liverpool.
This is why the 97-point thing mattered. And I think there was some people writing some stuff, and they were saying, I'll go to you, Mel, there was a lot of Liverpool will be psychologically shattered, the club, the fans will be, if they don't win the league this season. And I actually think the 97-point thing just deals with that, in that it doesn't feel like anyone's chosen between the league and the Premier League and the Champions League. It doesn't feel like there's been a decision made. It doesn't, because there hasn't been. The focus has been on both. It doesn't. It feels like Liverpool have had a league-winning season without obviously winning the league. They've hit that level, but they simultaneously get this big final. And if they'd have dropped points anywhere along the way and there was opportunities to do so, then maybe we'd be sitting here now going, well, we took it to the last day, but it didn't really feel like the last day. Whereas right now, it does feel as though, that was Liverpool being all in.
That's just it, actually. And, we speak about this era of Manchester City and they're a phenomenal side, but Liverpool finished a point off them in the league and reached a Champions League final again, successive seasons, as well as having to come back from a 3-0 deficit against Barcelona. As much as we praise City, look at this Liverpool side and absolutely marvel at them, because what they're doing, they've normalised this, and it's not normal. It's just a stunning achievement.
There's no choke as well, there's no choke, there's no slip, there's no big moment for all the dickheads to pile onto. I think when you could feel 50,000 people collectively scowl at Anfield yesterday when Wolves started singing "You fucked it up." When was that, mate?
I've had this in my head a little bit. Like, going into yesterday's game, Gareth, it was a bit like, you go through that what if, don't you? What if we'd have done this? And I went, what if we wouldn't have done that at Leicester or West Ham, Everton and Man United? I'm like, I can't expect us to get 105 points. That can't be expected. 97's an incredible achievement. We haven't fucked this up at all. And you're right, they were a massive gang of bellends yesterday, Wolves. I didn't quite get.
I didn't see it coming.
I don't also understand the whole country's bellendery around Liverpool. Like, do you even, like, when I was watching Match of the Day when I got in last night, and the sort of diplomacy from Liverpool, the way that, firstly, congratulations to Manchester City, came from Henderson, came from the manager, all the footballers. I don't think we've been... I can see in the past times where we've been unbearable, and maybe times where we've been a little bit... What's the word? There's a word I'm looking for.
It's all right. Ungracious, I think.
Maybe. And like, I just don't think. I think this season we've been quite pragmatic about it all. I think we've been all right. We've been a decent version of ourselves. Where in the past we've maybe kidded ourselves that we were a great side and we weren't. But we know
it's not actually. It's not actually that, I think. And a lot of people who say that fans would be unbearable, I think that's a convenient way to label it. I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and quite recently people united and City fans who cover those respective clubs, and they were saying, City winning things feels almost numb. You're used to it. It's what happens. And you can also say, well,
what are we all meant to do?
Yeah. No, the method of how they've assembled that side. Oh, look at all the money. Oh, they've built that team for Pep Guardiola. Other clubs cannot do what they've done. So they explain City away. And also, City are not the story. They're not the biggest. They're not, they don't have that impact worldwide. So they win it and it's like forgotten as soon as it happens. There's no aftermath. There's no continuous party or headlines for days and days and days about it. Actually, at the moment, after yesterday, the Champions League final is a story again. Tottenham and Liverpool being in it. That's the big thing as it stands. But also, there's a genuine apprehension of fear that once Liverpool win one thing under Jurgen Klopp, with this team that he has, it's going to be endless. And speaking to people who work at the other top 6 clubs, they say they all told themselves, how do we handle Man City? You actually can't. You just can't. We'll try, but, it was like this foregone conclusion. Whereas Liverpool think, hang on, here's this 25-point gap. What haven't we done this season that can lessen that gap? And they go through everything, set pieces, get a throw-in coach, bolster the support staff. We all think about recruitment as in terms of players, but you also have to get the best people off the pitch, and Liverpool have done that. And so I think there's this, everyone else is looking around and thinking, oh my God, they've actually done it, and they've made Man City sweat until the final day of the season, and they're in the Champions League final again. So I think that's where the nation comes from.
I think that's part of it. That's the team part of it. I think the fans part of it as another element as well, Mel, because I think so. On Saturday, I was walking up a mountain as per, and I heard Wolves fans, and I quite like doing that thing before a big game because it's sort of like you kind of get to eavesdrop on what people are on about, and heard Wolves fans saying, we just want to shut them up. Want to shut the Liverpool fans up, and I was sort of plodding along thinking, what is that? What is that? Shut us up? What is that? Because it's not like we are being our ass. We're not being mean about them, whoever they are. We're just talking about ourselves, and that's what they don't like. They what we do, in my opinion, and maybe it is annoying, is have fun and do things slightly differently to other people, and enjoy ourselves in a different way. But we don't really care about anybody else, and it really gets up people's noses, I think.
I think it's the sort of it was the biggest example of it is Tuesday night. Other clubs don't do what we did there. It does happen, but it's as frequently. You almost expect it with Liverpool. You look at European Cup semi-finals or whatever. Even the Chelsea ones that aren't that high profile. There's the ghost goal. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny. It's mad how frequent it occurs. Dortmund.
Yeah, I couldn't get my head around Tuesday night because it's it's not complicated. We go to a place and we shout at things. We shout and things happen. It's weird. I still can't quite understand it. And I can't get. I kind of don't get why other people don't try it. Why don't you go and really shout at the other team and the ref and see if it helps?
It is that though. There's a rabid feverishness about Liverpool and the fan base and the culture around it that definitely is. It's not unique. I don't think it's unique.
No, I don't think it's unique.
I think Celtic have it, for example. I think Man United's away support, as much as it irks me to say, is good, and they've got a good culture around that. But the likes of the Boss Night, or the likes of even ourselves, the fact that we sustain the Anfield Wrap through our fan base. It just wouldn't work at other football clubs. There's loads of clubs and loads of supporter bases that just don't consume the football in the same way or act the same at matches and stuff like that. So maybe that you're right, and that's what gets up the nose. So when they see clips of Jamie Webster singing songs and stuff like that, when they see us doing what we're doing, it's all a bit what the fuck's all that about? Because we don't do that.
I think it's a bit absolutely mad for football fans to not want football fans to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, you
blows my
should
mind.
all
So
try it. It's that good.
Yesterday, yesterday Wolves sang the Bobby Firmino song, then LA, and then Where's Your Famous Atmosphere? I was like, oh, so you can get your notepads out. Shut up.
Yeah, we're not
Keep
singing
quiet,
anything else
don't
now.
sing any new ones.
Yeah.
We've got the ear trumpets there in the Annie Road.
A fella doing notation.
God's sake.
I want to talk about the game itself. Mel, two teams did the double versus Wolves this season. Do you know who they are? It's Boss. It's dead funny. It's a great question.
Somebody crap.
So only two teams done the double versus Wolves. League double.
Liverpool.
Yeah,
they're one.
obviously. Who would be the
Huddersfield Town.
Huddersfield,
Wow.
yeah.
That's right, yeah, of course.
Huddersfield Town on the other side. And the reason why, well, there's lots of reasons why. I mean, there could be any number of reasons why, but they're really well drilled. They're really well set up. They know their shape, and they are also two things: one, weird, and two, massive. They're really, really difficult to play football against, and I think you saw that as the game wore on.
They're such a well-balanced side. They've got everything. They've got quality, physicality, the right amount of aggression. They've got ambition. They don't play games to think, how are they going to avoid a loss? They never do that. And I think they're incredibly well prepared for their opponents and very dangerous on the counter. And I think one of the reasons Liverpool were able to, Huddersfield are obstructive. It's hard. You can't counter against Huddersfield. Can't really do much against Huddersfield when they set in and they do it well. But Liverpool have guarded against the counter so well this season. So it took away Wolves'. They're expansive, so they want you to be expansive against them as well when you're a big team. And then they hurt you, And they managed to do that against the other clubs, but not Liverpool, because Liverpool have worked very, very, very hard on stopping those moments when they lose the ball, of being vulnerable.
One thing I noticed, sort of watching the game and then playing it back in my mind, Paul, is the number of times, what Mel's talking about there with this stopping the counter thing, the number of times a Liverpool player nicks it off the toe of a Wolves player around the edge of the area in a way which is just unflashy. I think Henderson does one and then gets his name sung a little bit, and that was probably the one that was the most high profile. But there were 3 or 4 other occasions where I think, oh God, we're in a bit of trouble here. And then when they try to play the right pass, the clever pass, Liverpool have anticipated it. That's what I think when we're talking about stopping these goals on the counter, that's one of the things we're talking. It's almost like we're so good at countering ourselves that we know if they get everything right here, this is where I need to be to stop them from doing the good thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting train of thought, actually. I've never sort of thought of it in reverse. Yeah, and it was also noticeable in the week as well. There was times where Barcelona countered and Fabinho and Mata especially found themselves in excellent positions to deal with it. Wolves are very good, and they do spring on you a little bit, but Liverpool were well equipped. Jordan Henderson yesterday, I thought he was sort of on the periphery of the game for a lot of it, unless Trent had the ball on his feet, who seemed to find him every time. But yeah, he's an intelligent footballer anyway. I think people underrate that, but he was finding themselves in positions. I couldn't quite work out what Wolves' midfield plan was. I always find sides that are sort of a 3-5 at the back, however you want to look at it, what their midfield's set up to do. Is that
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
I don't know who was meant to go, who was meant to stay. Like I want to understand Neves. Didn't really see loads.
He had a good 10 in the first half, I thought, when we were all going mad and having a breakdown.
Yeah, but I think I was too busy. I was going mad and having a breakdown to maybe register it. But yeah, well, I mean, I was saying yesterday, that's some achievement from Wolves, what they've done this season to come up as champions in the Championship and then just go, right, well, we're going to be the best of the rest in the Premier League now. And we talk about the team spending money. They've obviously improved the squad, but they haven't gone mad, have they?
It's people look at money and think it's a certainty. To look
Fulham
at the clubs.
spent loads of money, yeah.
Yeah. Fulham spent and spent and
Hundreds
spent.
of
And
millions.
even if you look at the top clubs, like United have been spending without really improving at all. It's not about money. Yeah. It's about recruitment with the right stylistic profile under the right manager. Everything has to be aligned, and like I said before, your operation off the pitch has to marry with your, what you're trying to do on the pitch. And Wolves have been so smart, and they really deserve to be where they are, for their level of planning, not just, match preparation, but how they've thought about their how they're going to achieve promotion, what they're going to do when they get into the Premier League. And they've not deviated, because it's easy to be scared when you come up and to think, hang on, is this enough? And especially when you see around you Fulham doing what they did, you start to question, hang on, is there more we need to do? Should we have done this rather? But they've stayed true to their blueprint, and it's worked for them.
They've got a load of belief. I think that acting like a big club probably sooner even than like Leicester did. It took Leicester probably halfway into the season where they won the league to kind of start acting that way. And I thought Wolves, it was almost like they'd been promoted from a minor European league rather than from the Championship. They were sort of, I don't know, it was a bit like a Champions League game against a good, I mean, the obvious thing to say is Portuguese team or somewhere like that. The kind of, the way they confidently diving around and complaining to the ref, and not
they had a good time kicking us for 10 after half time.
Yeah,
they really enjoyed themselves.
They were kicking us and diving and complaining, sort of thing that a top team does that annoys you. I'm not sure really, because there was the bit where we all went mad and then the team went mad, and then I thought second half we looked tired, and I thought it was huge credit to us that we've come out with a 2-0 win actually with those factors.
Just to go back to you on that, Adam, I think that one of the things that in a normal circumstance, in a normal game, which isn't the last game of the season, one of the things we're talking about is Liverpool's really intense midweek exertions.
Yeah.
And that's sort of been glossed over a little bit because it shouldn't be, because Liverpool have had a huge physically intense, emotional night, and then gone and got a really good 2-0 against a good side who were really well prepared. Yeah.
I mean, Trent was in front of me second half, and just before he kind of came off, you could see we just like mouth open, panting, sort of trying to get back, trying to do his shuttles, and Henderson trying to help him out, but looked almost as exhausted. So it was clear, for anybody who wasn't in the ground, it was clear that we had exerted ourselves midweek, and it almost got to the stage, I guess. It's one of those games where it was no surprise kind of coming out of it that well, not everyone, but I had quite a few conversations about the goalkeeper. I thought Alisson was amazing yesterday, it was one of those games which is all too rare, I suppose, or not all too rare because it's good, that you kind of say, I wonder what had happened if he was more involved, but he was, and I think it was down to our tiredness. That we had a period there where in seasons gone past you'd say we probably would have conceded there, but he was his footwork and his dominance and coming out, he was brilliant.
I think there's another example as well of a game where you think sometimes it's actually harder in a way for Liverpool to win football matches. And what I mean by that is, like, everyone comes to so Wolves come to Anfield, they know the world's watching, they know it's a big game, they know Liverpool have got the opportunity to win the league, blah 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 blah, and there's no need for the amount of effort they put in for a final day game.
It really,
you know what I mean? Where are these lads who are meant to be on the beach?
City have got no derbies. No, we've got about 8.
Exactly.
It really
you know what I mean? That's what I mean.
It's a harder game for us.
Everyone absolutely,
Southampton.
everyone busts a gut to beat Liverpool, and then you tuned in so many times this season to watch City, and you're like, fucking hell, boys, any hopes? Yeah. And it's like, and Newcastle was unbelievable. And I still can't get over Newcastle. Like, what the fuck did Rafa say to them in the dressing room? Because it was honestly like they were playing in a cup final.
It's that thing I think of, especially given the context of this season, lads. You can be remembered. You can be remembered as the team that derailed Liverpool's title hopes, or even City's last few games. Having watched all of them, Burnley, their first half, exceptional. Leicester, first 25 minutes especially. Leicester were good at everything beyond having a threat in the final third. So you look, and it's that thing of, you can be part of the story, a big part of the story. And in 20 years' time, when they're doing, all those special Premier League package shows, a big chunk of it will be dedicated to you and that game that you did the unthinkable. Wolves, though, yesterday, we speak about Liverpool obviously being tired from the Barcelona game, but also, Robertson pushing himself through the pain to play, Jordan Henderson. Yeah. I thought Liverpool would have to field, a little bit of a makeshift team because of those exertions, the short recovery period, and then, you're questioning whether lads have, serious injuries after that. But Wolves only managed 2 shots on target after after half time, when Liverpool are starting to tire a bit, and that's a very talented team, as we've spoken about. So to deny them for all of the first half, even with the noises from the crowd and that little period where everything's chaotic, I thought was really, really smart from Liverpool.
The goalkeeper, Paul, was called into service, claims things brilliantly, smothers very, very well indeed, makes what should have been a practically impossible save. He just catches it. Of course you're going to head it there. You always head it there. I've been watching you for years. That's where you head it. It was. I thought he was terrific.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe one of the people who've been guilty of sort of undervaluing the influence he's had since he's come in. I'm quick to take really good goalkeepers for granted, and then it's only the bit where,
like a proper game, is it really? You're not playing footy.
You think that we're obviously in possession of the ball so much, and we're quite assured at the back, but you don't know how. I can't attribute a value to how much of being assured at the back is him. Where there was periods where we were going, no, Mignolet is making these defenders shit because they don't trust them. They're scared to go to him. And there's none of that now, and
he made the ground a bag of nerves as well.
Which
that's
then
it went back to the players, and it was like, hang on, we're not helping them, and he's not helping us, and just kept going back. But now you're like, he's fucked, this fella,
and everyone's just like cigar in mouth. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? With him, it's an unbelievable sign, and he's made a huge difference. And for me, there's nobody close to him. I mean, I thought it would have been the big question of who's better, him or De Gea in the league this season, and he's just eclipsed him. 21 clean sheets is in his first season. It's unbelievable.
Other one I want to talk about, obviously, Gareth, is the fella who scores the 2 goals. It's always nice to talk about those guys. It was possibly fitting that he gets the 2 on the day, in that as things have got more intense, as games have got harder, as Liverpool have had to fight and battle more and more, Sadio Mane has got better and better and better. Yeah,
he's a fighter, isn't he? And he loves it when it's like that. And I love watching him, and he's been fantastic for us all season. And you're right to say that it is fitting, and it is good that he's ended up with the 2 goals and ended up sharing the golden boot, because it kind of makes me think, well, finally people will talk about him a little bit more, because he's been a little bit undervalued for me in that, other players, Mo in particular, always get the headlines and always get the highlights and the limelight, if you like, and him less so. And he definitely deserves it, because he's been central to keeping Liverpool going this season. He never gives up. He's always trying. He must be an absolute nightmare to play against, because I don't know what you do with him, because he's so unpredictable, but he's strong. He's got a fantastic character about him, and I think that goes back to what Mel was saying before about the idea that Liverpool aren't just going, let's pay some money for a player because he was good once. Liverpool are digging into everything about that person's individuality, character and everything else, looking, is there something here that will mean he will be brilliant for Liverpool? So Man United got mentioned before. I mean, Alexis Sanchez has been absolutely shite for them, and like in an alternative reality, like he goes to City or whatever, and wish he had. But Mane,
he wouldn't have been shit at City. No. That's the difference. It would have been very scary if he went to City, actually.
But Mane suits what we're about. Mane suits Liverpool. Mane suits me as a Liverpool fan, as the type of player I want to watch. Someone who absolutely grafts. He's got loads of skill, loads of ability. Scored some ridiculous goals this season. But first of all, he absolutely grafts. He absolutely works his arse off every single game, and so you can't ask for any more. That's always been my problem about some players we've had in the past on the books, that they've had ability, but they haven't grafted, and they've been up and down, and you can tell that sort of psychologically, mentally, they haven't always been in the right place. Sadio's in the right place every single game.
Sorry, Adam, I was just going to say, I was watching a bit of the Sky coverage back last night, and they kept using the word ego a lot about the fact that both Liverpool and Manchester City don't really have one. They're not the brash, cocky champions that you've seen in the past. The work ethic, the humble. They show so much humility about their opposition. They both come across good sets of lads. I really want to hate Manchester City, but you look at Vincent Kompany the other day and he scores, and I'm like, he's all right, Vincent Kompany though, isn't he? And I want to go, that prick, that Man City captain who I'm meant to hate the way you hated Keane or Partey with Vieira in the past. You can't. When you talk about these.
I definitely never hated Keane, by the way.
Oh no, there's a bit of you in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
but do you know what I mean? This humility about the lads we sign. So we sign Salah and we sign Mane, and it's one of them. It makes a little bit of a ripple in the press, but it's not like United signed Sanchez, United signed Pogba, this world news thing, and 31 goals. Do you know what I mean? Sadio Mane, 22 goals. This is it. As you were saying, we're digging deep into everything. We're not just going, as you said, this lad was fashionable once, we'll take the risk on him. Like, that one this summer for me is Gareth Bale. Someone will go out and probably get Gareth Bale this summer, and it could be it could be unbelievable, and he could get his mojo back or whatever. But that's a huge risk, and it's not one you see Liverpool going for. You see Liverpool seeing some bit of magic in someone else, and there'll be a point where I think Liverpool will start going for people, and they'll go, right, we've got to go for him. But I think there's that brand fit now for us as well, isn't there? There's a personality that suits the dressing room. Like I'm a big fan of Icardi at Inter, but I think he'd be a nightmare for Liverpool. I think he's a fantastic, aggressive striker. That's a huge falling out at Inter. Everyone hates him. But I look at that and go, what would Suarez be like in this dressing room now? Would he feel welcomed? I'm not sure.
Well, as a man who in years gone by would have given those bastards 30 seconds walking the children around the pitch, Adam, it was genuinely heartening to see the numbers and the numbers in terms of the backroom staff, the numbers and the fact that it felt like a one club thing, the numbers of people who stayed to acclaim them at the very end, and even people like me who, as I say, in years gone by would have seen this as really eating into my drinking time, suddenly thinking this is absolutely fantastic. And it was striking, I thought, when you saw that there was something about that lap of honour which was a little bit different.
Yeah, I think so, and I think you can probably take the temperature of the club by its laps of honour over the years. I remember I think it might have been Rodgers, where there was one where it just felt like there were loads of club suits and I didn't know who they were. That one really wound me up. I don't know who all these lads are. Who are these lads that I'm clapping and they're filming me? It was an interesting one yesterday. I suppose what was notable was, as you say, so many people did stay. I couldn't see Klopp, and that was notable. I
couldn't find him for ages.
But I think he does that on purpose, doesn't he? He's not putting himself there to be to be the big I am, which he could do, obviously. And sometimes he does take the limelight away from the players, but in those sorts of situations, he gives it straight back. I still don't know where he was. It was a bit like, where's Wally, who he looks a bit like.
It was the edge of the Kop area. I found him eventually. I was the same, because I was going to me mate, like, where is he? Is he here? What's happening? And then he was like, is that him? Yeah, that's him. And we found him in them, but yeah, he was very low key. Yeah. And he was just sort of having a bit of a walk around. Didn't want to go and do a big, Shankly in front of the Kop or whatever.
Do you know, he's obviously been doing this thing this season with the Kop, with the like 3 cheers thing or whatever you want to call it. He did something the other week where he was pointing at the camera going, I don't want them to see it. I don't want them to see it. I want to have the moment with you.
Yeah, it's not for the cameras.
Yeah.
It's our thing.
Yeah. It's like we've got an emotional connection, and I get it, but I don't want them to. I don't want the attention on me. And like, it even comes down to the bit where there was it last year where we sang his name and he went fucking ape shit. Where it was like, no, sing about them, don't sing about me. I'm just a manager. And that's part of. I think he's almost changed the way we have to behave on a match day a little bit, because. How many times did you sit and sing for Rafa Benitez or Brendan Rodgers, Liverpool? There's not that now. Like, I almost feel like we don't treat him well enough, but it's by his design.
It was an interesting one as well, because kind of that lap of honour last year was I think a real come on type thing for the final coming up, and there wasn't quite as much of that. I think there was bits of that. That's what I was doing, but it did feel like everybody was really heralding what are the efforts that they've done, really appreciating it, instead of kind of say onto the next thing. I think there was. Yeah, and it was a good way to sum up, I suppose, the emotions of the day. You watched Alisson getting the golden gloves and Salah and Mane sharing the golden boot, and yeah, it was it felt natural. It was right. It was good. It was good the way it was.
It was nice.
It was nice.
It was nice, yeah. And you know, like I'm with you, Neil, and in the past, like loads of times, it's been, oh fuck this, can't be arsed if we haven't won something or we haven't done anything really special. It's just like bollocks. I'm not that arsed about seeing people's kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got some.
All the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
Did Lovren's lad have a Virgil 4 shirt? Can anybody confirm that? I'm pretty sure he did. Lovren's eldest was in a Virgil 4 shirt.
I think he's put a picture up. Didn't he?
That's spectacular.
I'll have a look.
Go on, Gareth.
But yeah, it's it did just sort of feel nice, and I think that's because I think as well, like, you would have had, you know, I haven't seen it on Sky because obviously it was
Fake
there.
news.
Oh, it's a shame.
It was definitely that he's just got 2 kids then. No, I know I saw them too, but there was an older lad who seemed to be with them. Definitely Virgil 4. Anyway,
I bet you Sky was sort of scanning the stands as well because they wanted the lad sat on his own with his head in his hands crying and all that. And like that wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? There was a little bit of somberness, obviously, because we haven't won the league. But I think most Liverpool fans, certainly ones I've spoke to and people around me, you know, the final word that, you know, everyone does the thing, don't they? You sit by regularly, you shake hands on the final day of the season, and you all go home. But everyone was like, see you in Madrid, lad, hopefully see you over there, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Because we've got this big thing to look forward to that can still put the massive cherry on the cake of the season, if you like. And so I think that was the mood, you know, that was the mood. It was a good mood. And even in the, you know, the pubs and stuff afterwards, it was like, there was still that defiance there. There wasn't that flatness of when we lost under, well, we didn't win the league under Rodgers, and you know that Newcastle game was weird.
That everyone's forgotten. Charlie Ramobi got sent off. Everyone's forgotten this. Literally gets sent off. Yeah, he gets sent off for 2 yellows. It's mad. Look back, he gets sent off for 2 yellows for dissent. Everyone's forgotten because everyone's forgotten the game. Yeah. It's absolutely crackers. On the other thing to take from it, Paul, is that whilst they have, I think, both limped over the line in the end, Trent gets himself 2 assists. Robertson was at times excellent, at times under massive pressure because of the way Wolves play, but at times excellent. I really love a diagonal. All they must shout on their training ground is big switch, because that's, but they do so many of them. Oh yeah, and they're also like the one, there was some talk around me that Robertson misjudged the one that just fizzed over his head, and I was like, no, it's because that's what all they do. They're doing that every week. They're doing it every day. They're so practiced in this. Genuinely, that's what they're drilled to do. So no wonder they get it inch perfect. But I thought both full-backs, you know, the end of the season, with one of the toughest tests they're likely to have, they're obviously neither of them fully fit for different reasons, but they both had a massive part to play. Huge,
and they're not our secret weapon, but they're almost like the weapon that no one else's full-backs come near. You know, I think you talk about, we've seen in the week, Jordi Alba's a very good full-back. Wouldn't swap him for any of ours. You know, you're seeing just Trent Alexander-Arnold find new levels of brilliance, and his crossing is obviously incredible. But I'm just watching his crossfield passes, his range of passing. You know, playing Henderson in behind now, it's unbelievable. And then on the other side, Robertson, I mean, he sets the pace, doesn't he? We used to say that about Adam Melia when we weren't quite as good as this. Is like he sets the standard for the level of press and the level of energy and stuff in Liverpool's team, and Robertson's almost taking that to new levels. And it goes back to that humility thing as well. You even see interviews with the pair, and they just come across like great lads, really great, grounded, brilliant lads. And I've loved the little competition. I don't know where they're up to in that with the assist one, but did Trent get 13 assists?
Yeah, Trent is the highest assist ever for a defender in the league.
That's phenomenal. And we're talking about a lad who's 20 years of age. 20.
I think I said the other day that I've decided we're probably all extras in the film of Trent's life. And if that fake out corner isn't a sensation on the playgrounds, like for the summer, then if the playgrounds aren't like I remember them, like, you know, that's what kids love, isn't it? You know, when you're a kid and like there's some sort of new trick in a World Cup, you're just all doing that trick.
That's great. You'd love to be thinking that the kids down Bill Shankly playing field or something this week would have been doing that.
They will have, and like, my girlfriend said that she saw a kid doing it at a vending machine, like putting the money in the vending machine, then walking off and then running back and putting the choice in. So yeah, it does make me happy. Thinking about how everything that he's done, and I think this time last year I was saying that I was amazed that he was a year ahead of his development, and I don't even really think about it in terms of development anymore. We're just honestly we're watching something amazing with Trent. And with Robertson, and it's like an entirely different thing with Robertson. We've kind of, it's another amazing story, and what a player. There's if it wasn't for all the others, you'd be saying he's our best player.
You know what?
Sorry,
I got asked the other day who my favourite Liverpool player is at the moment, and honestly, the question kettled my head. I was like, I have zero clue. Where in the past it would be.
I think Andy Robertson's fans' favourite, though. I would say
it would be so obvious
favourite
to say in the past, but I feel actually guilty saying one because, if I say Van Dijk, well, actually, I really like Sadio Mane as well. I really like Roberto Firmino. Like, you then feel guilty because there's so many other at Trent. Then I got asked, who would I be the most emotional for? If they, to see them with the trophy. And that is a different answer. That's unequivocal for me. It'll be Jordan Henderson. I'd be so happy when I think that is the moment that will set me off.
I think Jordan had a bad 10. I think he lost his head yesterday.
Yeah,
I think he lost it when he realised when it had come through to him that he wasn't going to get to lift the league title. I actually think he has a bad 10 in the game. I think
his reaction at the final whistle. He's the worst.
Yeah.
He is the worst. Yeah, I felt that as well, and I felt even when it was coming through that City were losing, I felt he lost his head then as well. And
it's not even for him,
No, I know.
It's not a personal thing. It's not I'm not going to lift the trophy. It's like
he's
these
always
lads,
he
this
feels the
club,
pressure of the
this
team and the club
these
as well.
fans.
He's always taken, I think we were together and someone was saying about, he was like, if there was a problem with the club, Henderson would just go and take media duties off people and stuff like that. Phenomenal captain. That is being a captain. He's a completely different captain to what Gerrard is. He is one that does what sounds to be like he does the things behind the scenes. He's one of these fellas who unifies the dressing room again. But yeah, I did think he lost his head a little bit yesterday. But you talk about favourite players. I was listening to something Steve Armstrong did a while ago, and he went, it's the first time in his life he hasn't had a hero at Manchester United. And we're the opposite.
We've got so many to choose from. Honestly, it swings not just game by game. Sometimes it swings during a game. Like Joel Matip has been my favourite player for the last 2 weeks, I think it's been.
Fabinho's my favourite one currently because he's just boss and just keeps winning everything.
Master of the dark arts.
Well, exactly.
Like that,
he's got his thing now, hasn't he? Like Mortal Kombat, like standing over people and just go, fuck off, you.
Yeah. But the Matip thing that you say, Mel, it's interesting that you pick Matip because I reckon that is probably the other centre half that isn't Virgil. That's the only position in the squad now where you wouldn't say that person is a hero, and that's why it's Matip coming through and being so good is notable because that's kind of the only one.
Do you know what the biggest praise for Matip is? I would say you know.
You like him now?
Well, I wasn't wrong at the time, but I'm quite happy to say now. He's found levels I didn't think he could achieve. But I'm almost certain at the time I was giving him stick. He wasn't hitting. Well, he was nowhere near these levels. But the praise I would give him is Joe Gomez has been fit for weeks. Weeks, and he hasn't had a sniff of playing centre half. And obviously, Lovren's come in and played a bit of centre half. And I don't know if that's a bit to do with that. But if there was a problem there, Joe Gomez would be in. Do you know what I mean? We've rushed Joe Gomez back before, but Matip has been so dependable. And
in those 2 legs, I watched both those games against Barcelona again, and honestly, it was so funny because there at Barca, I was sat in like you have these press cabins, and in my cabin it was myself and Neil Jones, and we're like, oh my god, Matip, oh my god, he's done it again. What has Joel Matip consumed? And we were both like, don't tweet anything about how good he's been because you don't want to curse it. Like, just don't say anything. And then in the second leg as well, he was exceptional. And his anticipation for everything. But I just think we're so fortunate to be able to go through games and have different, like I was saying, a different favourite player from the same game because of how they're performing.
He deserves the final, and he deserves to come through it unscathed. Because the worst thing would be if he cocked up and then it was like, it'd all come back, wouldn't it? Everything that everyone used to say, which is is no longer fair, and it wouldn't be just because
it's ended up as well, hasn't it? I think putting like a huge question mark over Lovren's future now. Because he not long ago we were sitting here saying, you know, like he'd pulled his career around and done well and all that, but now it's like you don't want him anywhere near.
No. I was going to say I was speaking to Phil Blundell a while ago, and we were talking about Matip and the signs of improvement, and I think it was around the time we played Burnley away, because he played well there, and he's the best fourth choice centre half in the league, and the biggest praise I can give him now is he's probably the best third choice centre half in the league, you know, because Joe Gomez will have inevitably take his place back. You know, the levels we've seen from Joe Gomez earlier on in the season, there was times where you start to say, is this like going to surpass Van Dijk? Yeah. And that is some level to get even near.
And a perfect fit as well, those two.
But I mean, it's great to be able to know that if one of them gets a knock or whatever, please God it not be Virgil.
Yeah.
But we've got such adequate cover now, and ones we can rely on. And do you know what, they've all got the game this year as well, so you could argue there's no reason to change it. There's a lot of people getting excited about the lad at Ajax.
That's what I was just going to say. It's like it makes me scratch my head a little bit. It does make me scratch my head, that link. It's a strong link.
You're not playing Joe Gomez.
Yeah,
you know, Van Dijk's going to play, isn't he? So
yeah,
I would personally leave it as it is.
I just wanted to say on that point, when the final whistle went yesterday, there were people begging for transfer news to be released. Like, come on, Melissa, say something. You know, come on, at Melissa, Joyce, James Pierce, whatever. Give us some news. And I'm thinking, you've just seen this set of lads post 97 points. You've seen them do the unthinkable against Barcelona and reach back-to-back Champions League finals. Appreciate this group that you've got in front of you. Like, marvel at them, you know, take it all in. They've given you so much joy. Relax.
I think
Liverpool will,
you know?
it is so.
In the past,
honestly,
I've been as bad as anyone for that, but
I wanted to respond to some of those tweets and say it was pathetic, and I had to stop myself because usually I don't get involved in those kind of things. But
did you just text Rob instead? I send my stuff to Rob. I'm like, I'd really love to respond with this, but no. I honestly, guys, please just. And also appreciate what you have, because I think, you know, when people reflect in, you know, a decade from now and stuff, you look at this period of Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp and you'll think, wow.
These lads in 2.5 weeks' time could be giving you a European Cup, and you think about replacing them already. I mean, there's obvious things where I would love, you know, I reference seeing Bayern Munich a couple of years ago, and I always think we're guilty going, well, if we sign him, well, what do you do with him? Well, it's a squad game, and there's times where, you know, you need a great squad. There was, I think the Bayern bench was something like 7 of the biggest world names, and they had 11 on the pitch as well. You know, it was incredible. Well, we don't have to apologise for putting ourselves in that position, but for now, let's enjoy these lads. Let them go and win the European Cup, and then enjoy them, because obviously we signed Fabinho as the minute that the final whistle goes in Kiev, and we sort of needed that pick me up. But I don't think there's that level of desperation now for new lads. I'm sure we'll get some new lads in, and obviously some people are leaving.
Each season's a package as well, isn't it? Each season's a package, so that's why you do it straight after the final.
I think the Fabinho thing is why people assume that, when Liverpool lose a big game or a big thing, that they're going to put out transfer news as some sort of PR spin, which is, if you think that's how football clubs are run, honestly, there's nothing I can say to you to convince you otherwise, because your brain is just not operating in reality. But that Fabinho news, it was 48 hours after Kiev. It was going to go out, if there was the trophy parade and stuff, it was going to go out after the trophy parade, because it was done. It was a done deal. There was no reason to
what a Monaco meant to do, we'll wait for Liverpool to spin it.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous.
Gareth, just to sum up on this, we'll do season reviews after the season's finished, which means we've now got about 3 weeks of waiting for the season to finish. It's a strange little hiatus that suddenly drops in. It reminds me of the Screen Sports Super Cup, one for the teenagers there. It is going to be a strange little run this now, I think. The dust settles on the season, and then it has to all pick itself back up again. I'm sure that Klopp and his team will have a plan for that, but it is going to be odd, I think, in general, from a Liverpool supporters' point of view.
Yeah, that's a long wait, isn't it, for the final? You know, it seems sort of all the time, and really for it to be that long after the season. But it's kind of nice in a way. I mean, it's odd, but it's nice because we're looking forward to a European Cup final, so that's not bad. And while everyone else is, looking for ways to have a snipe at us because their team's being shite, we're going to Madrid. We're planning trips to Madrid. We're getting excited about that. We're getting excited about big number 6 coming home to Liverpool. We're favourites for it, as we said before, as well. So what a time to be alive. It's fantastic, that, and there's nowhere else. Tottenham have got that to look forward to, obviously. City have got the FA Cup final. United, Everton, all you boys tweeting us, talking shite. What have you got? Nothing. Boots on a Saturday with your missus.
Boots.
You know what I mean? Getting dragged round on pointless shopping.
Boots again, is it?
Because you can't say I'm going the footy, or you can't say I'm saving for the footy, or you can't say, well, I've got Madrid and I can't do that. You've got to go and do all things you don't want to do because you've got no football in your life because your team's shit. And ours isn't. Up the Reds.
Up the Reds indeed. Thank you very much indeed to everyone on the Anfield Wrap this week. Thank you very much to RedsBet, our partners all the way through. But obviously thanks the most to Adam, to Paul, to Melissa and to Gareth. 2 bits of mad, 1 bit of mad housekeeping. The 1971 Charity Shield was played between Liverpool and Leicester, even though Arsenal had won the double. I don't know. I've just had a little look, and supposedly loads of teams were just saying don't fancy it, to be honest with you, and they ended up having it be Liverpool. Leicester was the Charity Shield.
The runner-up in the FA Cup versus the runner-up in the league.
No. No. They just basically tried. Yeah, genuinely, I've been trying to. I'll get to the bottom of that at some point.
City win, can we jib it?
I'd like to jib it if City win.
Thank God we haven't got them in the final, and then with the potential of the Community Shield coming.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
You know what? People were around that Tottenham game, Tottenham City and the Champions League. Liverpool fans were talking about all sorts of connotations about, do you really want Spurs to go through in the Champions League? You want City to play those extra games. Spurs will beat them in the league if City, do them in the Champions League as revenge. And I was like, no freaking way. Tottenham need to win that tie because you do not want Manchester City in the final of the Champions League.
No, it's a huge relief.
It's a huge relief. It's quite the bonus. So thank you very much to everyone for that. And last little thing as well is that I, as much as anyone can be critical of the notion of Scouse exceptionalism sometimes, but if you are supporting another team and you don't like Scouse exceptionalism, then go and make your team fucking exceptional and shut up.